50 million were created under Democratic presidents and 1 million under Republican presidents.
You know, that's
50 to 1.
You've got to be able to tie. If you're going to make claims like that.
First of all, I love you. I love Clinton. That's a thing to say.
Okay.
Because as we both know, am I right?
Yeah.
As we both know, jobs created, it has a lot to do with what the last guy did. Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall. Did that have anything to do with the collapse in 2008 of the economy? I think it did. So maybe some of the jobs that were lost.
I'm sorry.
It's just a thing to say.
I don't think it is.
This is one of those weird moments where Bill Maher is actually right. And believe me, I don't say that often. Bill Maher calls out James Carville for his ridiculous claim about Democrats creating more jobs. But the truth is, neither party gets to claim that victory. Republicans, Democrats, they all love to act like they're the ones driving the economy. But newsflash, they're not. Job creation, it's way more complicated than just having a president in office. It's about long-term policies. And you know what? Congress plays a bigger role than any president ever will. And let's be real, even though I'm not a fan of Republicans, they do manage money a little better. Democrats, every answer is more government spending. But none of this changes the fact that economic success isn't just about the guy in the Oval Office. That's what Bill Maher gets right here. And now let's talk about the woke angle, because you know that's always in the mix. Bill Maher is woke, no doubt about it, but James Carville, he's even woker. It's classic woke on woke action, and it's hilarious. Being woke means letting someone else, some authority, define your moral position for you, letting them do the thinking. And that's exactly what's going on here. Carville is just parroting the woke left's talking points, and even Bill Maher can't stand it anymore. It's beautiful to watch. Check out how this all went down on real time with Bill Maher. It's rare, but sometimes even the woke take each other out.
And the other thing I think we've been pretty aligned on is that the Democrats do better when they're center-left and not far-left.
Certainly.
It's better policy, and it wins elections.
Right.
How do you think they did their convention with convincing the country that they are now back to the center left as opposed to the far left?
Well, first of all, you and I agreed, but that was one tough extraction, getting Biden out of the race.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, we brought in the head of oral surgery at UCLA, Nancy Pelosi. And you and I were like a couple of hygienists, like hacking away at it. But Dr. Nancy came in and did it. Look, every country wanted something different. And the Democrats, they weren't looking for ethnic cleansing. They weren't looking for a war. They weren't looking for a new entitlement. The country wanted something different than Trump and Biden, and we gave it to them. And I'm not surprised the country's responding favorably. I'm really not.
Yeah, I thought that, for one thing, they sounded...
Am I hearing this right? James Carville's out here saying the Democrats are moving back to the center left? Let me tell you why that's happening. It's not because they suddenly got smarter or less woke. It's because they've got other overseas priorities to protect. And they know the far left agenda is a losing strategy. They're trying to walk it back because even Hollywood, which is full of Democrats, has stopped pushing that woke nonsense in movies. They know the public is fed up with it. You've got people out here sick of being lectured about things like gender and other ridiculous ideas the left keeps forcing down our throats. Nobody likes that. So now they're trying to go back to the Obama and Bill Clinton era when they didn't have to get into all these arguments they can't win. And who's leading that charge? Joe Biden, the corporate puppet himself. He knows exactly how to play the game. And that's why they're trying to look more centrist now. But don't be fooled. It's all about protecting their power. And those foreign agendas we all know they're really working for.
Which, you know, has been a problem with the left in recent years. They didn't sound like they liked America too much. And this convention, I heard a lot of it. You're lucky to be an American. You're privileged. It's the greatest country in the world. It's like, thank you. Did you hear that, Congressman? Did you feel like that was sincere?
I will never criticize Democrats for putting on a good show.
I will never criticize Democrats for being good at politics. What I criticize Democrats for is being bad at policy and governing. They put on a great show. They got those celebrities in there. They dusted off those American flags that they had previously held in the attic or burned occasionally. And then they brought them out for that freedom wave.
Very few Democrats burned
the Democrat activists burned down cities. We, as members of Congress, just a few weeks ago, we had to go put American flags back up over Union Station in Washington, D.C.
If you're enjoying this content and want to see more, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a ton, and it keeps the conversation going. Plus, don't forget to drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this. I'd love to hear your take.
They put on a good show. They're
right.
full of hope and joy, and I get it. Like, that's great. Starry-eyed views of optimism of the future. But on policy, not so great. And in the end, this is going to be about policy. They were very light on that. Why? Because they don't want to contend with the fact that they own the last 4 years of policy. We do have a very unique opportunity here where we have two candidates where you can look at 4 years and 4 years. You know exactly what they're going to do, and you know exactly what the outcomes are. And on every metric, Donald Trump wins on this. And so that's what we're going to keep pushing this election toward, is what are the metrics that will actually make your life better? Donald Trump wins on this, on the policy and the outcomes associated with that.
I don't want to cheap shot anybody, so I'm not going to mention January 6th and burning flags and anything like that, because I just never. By the way, you know they're having a celebration of them on September the 5th. Trump celebrating the J6 people. I thought my boss, President Clinton, made an undeniable point of Democratic policy. Since the end of the Cold War, there have been 51 million jobs created in the United States. 50 million were created under Democratic presidents and 1 million under Republican presidents.
You know, that's
50 to 1.
You've got to be able to tie. If you're going to make claims like that.
First of all, I love you. I love Clinton. That's a thing to say. Because as we both know, am I right?
Yeah.
As we both know, jobs created, it has a lot to do with what the last guy did. Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall. Did that have anything to do with the collapse in 2008 of the economy? I think it did. So maybe some of the jobs that were lost.
I'm sorry.
It's just a thing to say.
I don't think it is.
Look, I'll say this. Trump's policies might be marginally better, but let's not pretend there's some massive game change. When you support the endless spending for what's happening overseas, it's impossible to be substantially better. That hurts the middle and lower class the most by devaluing the dollar, and no one ever talks about that. And then you've got James Carville out here claiming crime is down. Like, seriously? That's just another Democrat tactic. Of course, the stats are lower when you don't prosecute or even report crimes. You think if they're not prosecuting anyone, the crime rate's going to look high? Please. The only people who believe this nonsense are the ones living in their little bubbles with the upper echelon. Nobody who actually lives in the real world is buying it. And why are we even talking about crime from a presidential standpoint? That's not a federal issue, it's a local one. They'll do anything to distract from the real problems.
I can tie policies from Donald Trump to outcomes. So you cut taxes, you cut regulations. What does that do? It makes it easier to do business and hire people. So you're going to have job growth. You had 8% wage increase after inflation under Donald Trump before the pandemic. Actually, 16% if you're talking about the lowest quintile of earners. Under Biden, it's been 0. So on every metric, he wins, and I can go down the list.
I guess that the crime is down 30%. The stock market is up. The metrics that y'all choose are just BS metrics.
No, I choose
again, let me.
Not all of them, just that one. Just that one.
I choose metrics.
I would even agree that
50 to 1. You say it doesn't count. I do. I think 50 to 1's a blowout.
What has happened to the Democrats?
But it's bullshit.
I would agree.
You know, all this talk from James Carville, Bill Maher, and Dan Crenshaw, it doesn't change anything. At the end of the day, Donald Trump represents the frustration of working class Americans. Whether or not his policies are different doesn't even matter anymore. The guy just gets it. And it's crazy, right? He grew up rich, but he comes across as relatable, likable, and normal. He says the things that aren't sanitized speech, and that's why people love him. But look at these Democrats like Bill Maher, Whoopi Goldberg, even Dan Crenshaw, who I basically consider a Democrat at this point. None of them get it. They're all part of the same establishment circle, and no matter what they say, it's not going to change the way working class America feels. That's why they've had to go after Trump with heavy-handed measures. They can't handle that he's the one who speaks for people who are sick and tired of their nonsense. And that's why no matter how many skewed statistics they throw out there, it's not going to change the reality.
The Democrats have done a better job at job creation, but it's not 50-1. So don't lie to me. You know what? I'm an ally till you lie.
Please fact check. Either Bill's right or I'm right.
Well,
fact check.
but the numbers don't necessarily mean.
Okay. But it's 50-1.
You understand what my.
We have the lowest unemployment in 50 years under Trump. And again, you have to associate an outcome with policies. And you can't tell me what Biden policy resulted in better jobs. If we're increasing our jobs.
Also, there was a
Biden's
pandemic that had a lot to do with having
there's a massive increase.
There's a lot of factors that go into it. It's a bullshit thing.
Again,
let's move on. Let me ask you about.
So what do you think? Are you seeing through this nonsense too? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And if you're liking the content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps out a ton. Let's keep exposing the BS.